day. Once more, we interrupt your regularly scheduled program.
The first live-action Joker was portrayed by Cesar Romero in the Batman TV series. Having the honor of playing the first Joker on screen, Romero served as many people's first introduction to the character, and his take on the Joker surely left a huge impression on audiences. Romero's Joker was primarily based on the Silver Age version of the character. This was during an era in which adult content was banned in comic books. As a result, the Joker, who was originally portrayed as a homicidal maniac, was toned down to be more child-friendly. Joker became a goofy trickster with schemes only a child could come up with. The Joker of this era was a menace, an element of the character that Cesar Romero based his version on. Romero's Joker is an over-the-top and fun-loving prankster. This is a family-friendly Joker that plays pranks on others just for pure amusement. He's more of an annoying nuisance than someone you should be afraid of. The only truly evil element of this version is that his pranks can sometimes be at the expense of others' happiness.
I'm all stuck up.
But of course, I said this is a stick-up.
Romero's Joker is the most clown-like of all the other versions, and his relationship with Batman feels more like a childish rivalry than a twisted relationship. Overall, Romero's Joker is the least dangerous out of all the other versions.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Nicholson acts as the homicidal reflection to Romero's Joker. They share a lot of things in common, such as a very playful personality, and a knack for employing many playful gadgets. However, this time they are significantly more deadly.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Nicholson's Joker is primarily based on the Bronze and Golden Age iterations of the character. This version of the Joker was truly an insane madman who killed people out of pure enjoyment, and his motives were driven by greed. Joker was a scheming lunatic whose actions were driven purely on impulse, concocting ludicrous plans that only he could make sense of. Nicholson's Joker is also no different. Even his Joker gas was ripped straight from the comics.
No. The poison only works when the components are mixed. Hairspray won't do it alone, but hairspray mixed with lipstick and perfume will be toxic and untraceable.
Just like the comics, his actions are driven purely on impulse and greed, and there's a degree of narcissism to his actions.
What do you want?
My face on the $1 bill.
All of this theatricality serves to generate attention towards himself, and he'll do anything to get it. Whether it's publicly murdering someone on the streets, advertising his product by hijacking television stations, and invading an art gallery by killing everyone and watermarking the paintings with his name, all while maintaining an over-the-top and cartoonish energy. It's pretty clear that Joker is an over-the-top attention seeker. Even before the chemical accident, he still came across as remorseless. He was evil even in his past, and the chemical bath only served to increase his insanity. Nicholson's Joker is energetic, acts upon his desires, is lustful, and kills people for no apparent reason other than his own sick enjoyment. Even in death, he can't help but laugh.
It's all part of the plan.
Psych! That's the wrong number! This is how you exterminate a bat!
The third live-action Joker was portrayed by Curtis Armstrong in a one-star Batman commercial. This portrayal of the character again harkens back to the Silver Age era of the character. His appearance as the character is brief and not particularly memorable. His design is incredibly accurate to the comics, however, and the makeup department even gave him the elongated chin the character is known for. Actor Roger Stoneburner briefly plays Joker in the failed Birds of Prey TV series. The scene is a flashback showing Joker shooting Barbara in her home, a scene that's clearly inspired by The Killing Joke. Joker also appears briefly in another scene where Batgirl fails to apprehend him. Joker's appearances in the series are very brief and don't really leave a huge impression. Joker is voiced by Mark Hamill, however, which was surprising but a nice addition to the character.
Who's there? Batgirl. Past tense.
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. It's gone.
I had an idea of what the Joker would be in the world we'd created of Batman Begins. And to me, it was creating a sort of psychologically credible anarchist, a force of anarchy, a force of chaos, a purposeless criminal, a psychopath. To me, that is the most frightening form of evil. The enemy who has no rules, the enemy who's not out for anything, who can't be understood, can only be fought.
Since Christopher Nolan's Batman existed in a realistic reality, the creatives needed to find a way to ground Joker in this world. Nolan didn't want to create a lunatic who engaged in random acts of violence. It had already been done before by past directors, so it was important that they formulated a completely new take on the character. A purposeless antagonist, and a terrifying idea that one man can bring upon the collapse of the world. Since this Joker existed in a grounded reality, certain tweaks were made to his overall appearance. For one thing, Joker was devoid of his bleached skin we see in other iterations. Instead, he applies white makeup, a first for the character. The makeup needed to look like war paint, dirty, rough, and applied by the Joker himself. As a result, it's cracked and uneven. The scars on his mouth concealed by messy lipstick, the black eye makeup, and the messy green hair were also unique additions to the Joker's appearance, giving him a unique ghastly look. It gives the character a sense of a dark history, while not explicitly telling us. Joker's appearance takes on a whole new meaning, as it implies that makeup is used to hide one's scars.
You wanna know how I got these scars?
When you look at other live-action versions of the character, you notice one glaring detail. Yes, the Joker is crazy. Yes, his schemes and actions make no sense to anyone but himself. His motives are incredibly random, because Joker represents the randomness of crime. But that's the thing. Joker has motive. His actions are very much driven by worldly desire, such as fame, monetary gain, lust, attention, or just the sheer enjoyment of his actions.
I will be rich forever.
But something is different about Heath Ledger's Joker. He's what you'd call a nihilist. He has no worldly desires such as monetary gain. In fact, he would rather burn billions of dollars just to prove a point. He doesn't care about being neat and tidy, solely based on his messy makeup and dirty clothes. This is truly a purposeless anarchist, a man who wants to dismantle society and create a world of chaos. Nolan took major influence from Alan Moore's Killing Joke when it comes to Joker's pursuit of proving that everyone could become just like him, and his mysterious and multiple choice backstory. Joker's whole purpose is to be the instrument of society's downfall. He laughs at your conceived ideas of the world and your desperate attempts to control it. The only way to truly live is to revel in mindless chaos, and Joker's goal is to subvert people's beliefs and morality in order to get closer to this ideal world.
Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos.
One other major change to Ledger's Joker is the awareness of his insanity. Joker in the comics and in other live-action adaptations is aware that he's crazy, accepts it as a part of himself, and even celebrates it, wishing for other people to see how he views the world.
Now, what's with that stupid grin?
Life's been good to me.
However, Ledger's Joker genuinely thinks his actions are sane and rational, and he dislikes being called crazy by others.
You see, a guy like me,
Freak.
a guy like me, look, listen, you're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
This paints the picture of a man who has truly become disattached from the world. Ledger's Joker is completely enigmatic, has no definitive backstory, no arc, and no mercy. A man who is so tragically affected by his past that he now sees how much of a joke the world is, and now seeks to break down the societal structure. He's an absolute icon of evil, a living embodiment of chaos.
Don't come yell at me to do the dishes if you've been banging a clown. The next one! You know.
The series Gotham wasn't legally allowed to have the Joker in the series, so as an alternative, we get presented with many characters that act as stand-ins for the Joker. They act exactly like the character in question, but they can't legally be acknowledged as that character. Cameron Monaghan's portrayal of the characters Jerome and Jeremiah is a perfect example of this.
I used to be a great whistler.
In the case of Jerome, he's portrayed as a deranged, mass-murdering lunatic who has an easily excitable and energetic personality. There is no motive behind his actions. He wants to cause needless violence for no reason other than his own sick enjoyment.
Now that's a headline.
He's also been shown to be very remorseless, shown when he kills his father with no hesitation, and pretends to deeply care about his mother's death, only to show his true colors later on. Jerome very much enjoys mindless chaos, and he seems to enjoy making a show out of all his acts of violence. This is because Jerome is a showman. Many of his crimes are theatrical and over the top, and he frequently televises his schemes for the world to see. Even his appearance is extremely diverse, disguising himself using a plethora of different outfits.
You're all prisoners. What you call sanity is just a prison in your minds that stops you from seeing that you're just tiny little cogs in a giant, absurd machine. Wake up!
Cameron Monaghan's Joker is unpredictable, murderous, and over the top with his crimes, all while having no motive for his heinous acts of violence.
Nobody has to die. Well, except for these people.
Cameron Monaghan plays a second iteration of the Joker. I mean, the second iteration of Jerome. This time it's Jeremiah, Jerome's more calculated brother. Unlike his more over-the-top sibling, Jeremiah was much more calm and composed, talking in an extremely monotone voice and looking at everyone with cold, dead eyes. He was extremely calculated too, executing plans to near perfection. The fall into the vat of chemicals only served to increase his insanity. Although still not completely loony like his brother, the new and improved Jeremiah embraced a lot more of his insanity, no longer behaving in a cold and calculated way, laughing and smiling a lot like the Joker from the source material. His second look attempted to add realistic textures to a man who fell into a chemical vat, with burnt skin and a lack of hair. Jeremiah in Gotham is a highly intelligent and calculating individual. Despite his looming madness threatening to take him over, his intellect allows him to easily surpass everyone and rise the ranks as Batman's most dangerous foe.
I am not someone who is loved. I'm an idea.
If Jack Nicholson was supposed to be a representation of a mobster, then Jared Leto represents that of a modern gangster. This Joker cares very much about his style and worldly possessions, owning many expensive weapons, driving around in expensive vehicles, hanging around nightclubs, and wearing many designer outfits and jewelry. Even his tattoos and grills reveal a man who embraces the gangster-like lifestyle. The idea that they dedicated an entire rap video to his luxurious lifestyle really demonstrates the type of Joker they were going for. Regardless of what you think of Jared Leto's Joker, you can't deny that he has an interesting sense of style. Leto's Joker doesn't give off the vibe of someone chaotic or crazy, but a narcissistic a-hole who wants to live a chaotic, carefree life of luxury, women, violence, and murder. His hot and sexy demeanor is only a mask meant to hide his true dark nature, and Zack Snyder's Justice League truly peeled back that mask. In a world where things like gold chains and Yeezys no longer matter, Joker has no other choice but to reveal his true nature. A disgusting and demented individual who has no remorse for the things he's done. He's very condescending towards all the loved ones Batman has lost, calls Batman by his real name in an attempt to feel more personally connected with them, and can't help but joke around despite their situation. Judging from his appearance, Joker still maintains his sense of weird fashion. In a ruined world, all Joker can do is cling on to this one remaining connection to his old life, and his twisted, ugly laugh is all that's left of a Joker who's had everything in the world at his disposal.
I said, for my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
We've seen an evil man become the Joker by falling into a vat of chemicals. We've seen a Joker who strives to tear down the modern world. However, in the film Joker, we see what it takes for a normal man to transform into this character. Joaquin Phoenix portrays another grounded take on the Joker. His skin isn't white. Instead, it's once again makeup, which is drastically different from the comics. The same can be said for his attire, which is devoid of the typical purple color scheme. Just like Ledger, Joker's fall to madness is due to society's mistreatment. However, this Joker is much more sympathetic. He didn't start out as evil, but just a guy trying to get through life, despite all the injustices he has to go through. Even Joker's iconic laugh has become a medical condition that he has no control over, something that has consequently made his life more difficult. Why put a man through so much trauma? Well, the answer is simple. This is a film that details a good man's fall into madness, so the audience has to be made to understand just how much one person has to go through to become the Joker. Because of this, we never disapprove of Arthur's questionable actions, because we've come to sympathize with his struggles, to the point where we are anticipating Joker to kill certain individuals. Because of the combination of lies, heartbreak, and his own mental instability, the world begins to crumble around Arthur, but from the ashes he rises and embraces his new identity as the chaotic symbol known as the Joker.
I think I felt better when I was locked up in the hospital.
And have you thought more about why you were locked up?
This film gives us a definitive origin story for the character, but they still embrace the ambiguity of Joker's past. You can't completely trust the events being presented, as Joker is an unreliable narrator, a person who gets into your head by making you sympathize with him. You can't trust him completely, so the entire story we're made to witness is put into question. Joker is a story of a good man who devolves into pure evil, a man born from the worst humanity has to offer.
You think they deserved it, huh? You think they deserved it.
Now we've gotten to the latest incarnation of the Joker, and this one seems to lean much more into the horror aesthetic of the character, an element we've only seen explored a couple of times in the comics. Joker is truly hard to look at. His lack of hair, pale and diseased looking skin, and crooked teeth give off the vibe of a ghoulish figure that you'd see in a horror movie. Joker clearly looks like a sickly man suffering from many different diseases. Matt Reeves has gone on record to say that this Joker isn't necessarily someone who fell into a vat of chemicals, but one that had to live his life with a disease that forced him to smile all his life. This feature caused people around him to view him in a certain way, and this has negatively affected his view on the world. I don't think that's it though. I think this version of Joker was also born with a skin condition that resulted in his distinct look. Maybe he viewed that melting pot of diseases as a twisted joke and decided to lash out at the world in a violent way. The makeup artist took influence from both The Man Who Laughs and The Elephant Man when it comes to Joker's design, so it's easy to see why a man with such an appearance would fall into madness. This Joker clearly has a fascination with violence, admiring Riddler's plan and laughing at the grotesque pictures of his victims. Batman even accuses him of getting off on it, which Joker doesn't even attempt to deny. Judging from his bloody fingers, there's even a chance this Joker harms himself. All this paints a picture of a sadistic and murderous lunatic who views death as an art form, treating his victims as if they were paint and Gotham was his canvas. Despite his murderous tendencies, Joker is clearly highly intelligent. He was able to quickly deduce Riddler's plans and who he was as a person simply based on a few pictures. Despite Batman's attempts to be on emotional guard, Joker makes his way into his mind and mocks his sense of justice. Joker is also quickly able to befriend Riddler by appealing to his love of riddles. Joker is clearly a sadistic, highly observant, and manipulative individual. Despite his chilling appearance, his charisma and intelligence paints a picture of a man who will one day bring much chaos to Gotham. Joker is a man who from birth lived a life of hardship because of his grotesque appearance. This led him to develop a nihilistic view of the world, embracing his deformities and living a life of chaos in a world that played a cruel joke on him.